Have you ever wondered what a 3-degree increase in global temperature might look like? In the grand scheme of things, 3 degrees may seem like a minor shift. But in the context of our planet's delicate equilibrium, it's a shift with immense consequences. Our world is currently in the grip of an escalating climate crisis. Global warming, a term we've all heard and perhaps grown somewhat desensitized to, is very real and very urgent. It's not just about hotter summers and milder winters. It's about a fundamental transformation of our planet's climate system that touches every facet of life on Earth. At the heart of this crisis is the greenhouse effect, a natural phenomenon that's been thrown out of balance by human activities. Picture a greenhouse, a place where warmth is intentionally trapped to nurture plant growth. Our Earth operates on a similar principle. Certain gases in our atmosphere, the greenhouse gases, trap the sun's heat, keeping our planet habitable. But here's where we humans come into the picture. Our industrial activities, our love for fossil fuels, and our relentless deforestation have significantly increased the concentration of these greenhouse gases. We've turned the greenhouse into an oven, and the thermostat keeps rising. Now imagine our world with a 3-degree increase in temperature. It's a world where the ice caps have melted, leading to catastrophic sea level rises. It's a world where extreme weather events such as hurricanes and wildfires are not just seasonal headlines but constants. It's a world where vast swaths of land become inhospitable, leading to mass migrations and conflicts. So when we talk about a 3-degree increase, we aren't speaking in hypotheticals. We're talking about a profound existential threat to our way of life. We're talking about a future that's not set in stone, but one that we can still influence. The world we know today would be unrecognizable with a 3-degree increase in temperature. This isn't a forecast of doomsday, but a call to action. Our future is at stake, and the time to act is now. Numbers don't lie, and the numbers for global warming are alarming. The world is heating up, and the data is there to prove it. In the last century, we've seen a rise in the Earth's average temperature by approximately 1 degree Celsius. This might not sound like much, but let's put it into perspective. During the last ice age, the global average temperature was only about 5 degrees Celsius cooler than today. So, a degree of difference is no small matter. This temperature rise is intrinsically linked with the increase in carbon dioxide levels in our atmosphere. Pre-industrial times saw CO2 concentrations of around 280 parts per million. Fast forward to today, and we're looking at over 400 parts per million. That's an increase of more than 40%. The effects of this temperature increase are visible in our polar ice caps. In the last 40 years alone, we've witnessed a staggering loss of over 75% of the Arctic sea ice volume. This melting ice is causing sea levels to rise. In the past century, the global average sea level has risen by around 8 inches, and the rate of rise is accelerating. These aren't just random events. There is a scientific consensus that human activities are the primary driver behind these changes. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, made up of thousands of scientists from all over the world, agree that it's extremely likely that more than half of the observed increase in global average surface temperature since the mid-20th century is due to human influence. And let's not forget, we're talking about global averages here. Some regions are experiencing changes that are much more extreme. The Arctic, for instance, is warming at twice the global average rate. These numbers paint a dire picture of our future if we do not take action. It's not just about the world we live in now, but the world we're leaving for future generations. We know the facts. Now it's time to act. A 3-degree rise in temperature isn't just about warmer summers. Imagine for a moment a world in which extreme weather events are the norm rather than the exception. Think hurricanes that are more intense, tornadoes spiraling out of control, and heat waves that are so severe they make the Sahara Desert look like a walk in the park. This is the new reality of a world where global temperatures have risen by 3 degrees. But the impacts of this temperature rise stretch far beyond just the weather. We're also looking at a significant loss of biodiversity. Our planet's rich tapestry of life, from the smallest insects to the largest mammals, is under threat. Entire ecosystems could collapse, with species that have been around for millions of years disappearing in the blink of an eye. Then, there's the issue of ocean acidification. Our oceans act as a buffer, absorbing about a quarter of the carbon dioxide we emit. But as they take in more and more CO2, they become more acidic. This threatens marine life, particularly creatures with calcium carbonate shells or skeletons, including mollusks, corals, and some types of plankton. The ripple effect on the food chain could be catastrophic. And let's not forget the impact on human health and agriculture. Rising temperatures can increase the range and virulence of disease vectors, meaning illnesses like malaria could become more widespread. Meanwhile, our agriculture systems are under threat. Changes in temperature and rainfall patterns could lead to decreased crop yields, threatening our food security. So, you see, a 3-degree rise in temperature isn't just a minor inconvenience. It's a global crisis that affects every aspect of our existence, from the air we breathe to the food we eat. It's about our health, our livelihoods, our homes, and the very future of our planet. The ripple effects of temperature rise are profound and far-reaching. The cost of inaction is high, and it's measured in human lives. When we talk about the human cost of global warming, we're not just talking about numbers on a page. We're talking about real lives, real people, and real communities. We're talking about families torn apart, livelihoods lost, and futures put on hold. Take heat waves, for instance. They're becoming more frequent and more intense due to climate change, and they're not just uncomfortable, they're deadly. Every year, tens of thousands of people around the world die from heat-related illnesses. That's more than the number of people killed in car accidents in most countries. But the human cost of global warming isn't just about direct deaths. It's also about the slow, creeping impacts that chip away at our ability to live and thrive. One of the most significant of these is the impact on food security. Changes in temperature and rainfall patterns are making it harder for farmers to grow crops. This leads to higher food prices and increased hunger. Millions of people are already struggling to put food on the table, and global warming is only going to make this worse. Then there's the issue of climate refugees. As sea levels rise and extreme weather events become more common, more and more people are being forced to leave their homes. By the middle of this century, we could see hundreds of millions of people displaced by climate change. That's equivalent to the entire population of the United States having to pack up and leave. And let's not forget the emotional toll. The stress and anxiety of living in a world that's changing in unpredictable ways can be overwhelming. It can lead to mental health issues, social unrest, and even violence. The cost of inaction is high. It's measured in human lives, in shattered communities, in lost futures. But it's a cost we can avoid if we act now. We must act to prevent a humanitarian crisis of unprecedented scale. You have the power to make a difference. Imagine a world where we all took action, where each of us embraced our role in combating global warming. It's not just about the big corporations or world leaders making a change. It's about you, about me, about all of us. So how do we do it? How can we, as individuals, make a significant impact? It starts with reducing our energy consumption. This can be as simple as turning off the lights when you leave a room, or as significant as investing in energy-efficient appliances. It's about making conscious choices every day to conserve energy, to minimize our carbon footprint. And while we're on the topic of energy, let's discuss renewable sources. Solar, wind, hydroelectric, these are all viable alternatives to fossil fuels. By choosing renewable energy, we're not only reducing our own carbon emissions, but we're also supporting an industry that is crucial for our planet's future. Now let's talk about waste. It's no secret that our landfills are overflowing and our oceans are choked with plastic. We need to reduce, reuse, recycle. But beyond that, we need to rethink our consumption habits. Do we really need that plastic straw, that disposable coffee cup? Small changes in our everyday lives can lead to significant reductions in waste. And finally, we can't overlook the power of advocacy. Our voices matter. By voting for leaders who prioritize climate policies, by rallying for stricter environmental regulations, we are playing a crucial role in shaping our future. We need to make our voices heard, to demand action from those in power. You have the power to make a difference. It's not just a phrase, it's a call to action. It's a reminder that we, as individuals, can and do shape the world around us. So let's use that power wisely. Let's take action for our planet, for our future, for each other. Your actions matter. Together we can prevent a 3-degree world and secure a sustainable future for all.